exhibitors and audience. Good day, everyone. I am Xiao Jiong from the United Design Alliance, UDA. Today, with immense gratitude and joy, we are thrilled to launch the 12th United Design Biennial Online Exhibition 2025. Since the establishment of the United Design Alliance in 2014, we have always taken building an international design and education network as our mission, and been committed to making design a bridge that connects cultures and conveys ideas. And today's exhibition is the most vivid practice of this original aspiration. This spring, we launched the 4th Message to Humanity poster call with the core theme of love and forgiveness. During the work selection process, we not only witnessed innovations in design language, but also felt the profound responses from global creators to the common dilemmas of humanity. Whether in balancing personal aspirations with collective well-being, or in the interweaving of cultural differences and emotional resonance, design is becoming a silent dialogue, transforming abstract values into tangible visual power. This perfectly aligns with the core trends in today's design field, shifting from visual decoration to value transmission, and moving from individual creation to cross-cultural collaboration. Whether using unique fonts that highlight global diversity or integrating inspirational quotes from different cultures into works, every poster represents designers' professional commitment to design serving society. This is also the direction of design education that the United Design Alliance has always advocated, enabling the younger generation of designers to not only master professional skills, but also understand how to safeguard the warmth of humanity with creativity. At present, the design industry is experiencing in-depth integration of digitalization and humanization. These technological innovations have never deviated from the essence of design, connecting people with the world and awakening the bond between hearts. Just as the theme of this exhibition conveys, when we nurture dignity through interaction, we can build a community where all members thrive. And design is precisely an important carrier for nurturing dignity. A single poster may not directly change the world, but when it carries the tolerance of love and the tenderness of forgiveness and reaches the hearts of audiences of different skin colors and languages, it will converge into a force for promoting collective healing. This is highly consistent with the educational philosophy of our alliance. Design education should not only teach layout, color, and software operation, but also guide learners to think about for whom design is made and why design is created, so that every piece of creativity becomes a seed for serving society.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for this introduction. My name is Jürgen Hefele and I'm Vice President of UDA, and I'm also a graphic designer, communication designer, and an educator in Germany. I wanted to welcome all of you. There are a lot of students here. I'm not sure, but you are important, and I wanted to welcome you to our 4th Messages of Humanity poster exhibition. It is a heartfelt event where creativity and purpose come together. And this year we focus on the powerful themes of love and forgiveness, reminding us of what truly matters. So this United Designs Biennial happens every 2 years, and we celebrate our existence and share messages that inspire and unite. And I think design is a wonderful profession. It opens up so many paths for the young designers. And I also know it's difficult times now. Like, we have a lot of problems. Our societies have problems. But I think this is exactly the time we need young designers, and we need curious designers. To tell the stories, to solve problems, to shape culture, to build bridges between people and ideas. And that's exactly what, in my opinion, is very important as a designer. So I have personally 5 values I want to share with you. And I tell my students always that these values matter. The first one is hope, that our work can contribute to positive change. The second one is confidence, to stand by our creative and ethical choices. The third one is respect for diverse perspectives and the people we design for. The fourth one is tolerance, making space for difference, not erasing it. And the fifth one is curiosity, to keep listening, learning, and questioning. So I think what's important is to keep connected to these values, and these are all the values United Designs Alliance is sharing with you. We need more love, more kindness, and more forgiveness. And these values are not just ideals, but guiding forces for your profession to transform your confidence and your passion for design, for designing things. So welcome to our event. We have a keynote speaker and a very talented designer. Her name is Wenjia Wang from New York City, and she's an illustrator, an artist, and a visual storyteller. And the title of her keynote is "The Lines That Heal: How Illustration Nurtures Empathy and Community." Welcome, Wenjia. Wenjia, are you here? We talked to her before, so she is there somewhere.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you guys hear
Hi.
me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that was fast. Let me share my screen first. Function. All right. So hello everyone. My name is Wenjia Wang, and I'm an illustrator based in New York City right now. The topic for today is the line that heals, and I'm gonna share how my illustration journey nurtures the empathy and community. As everyone who tells stories through image, I've always been fascinated by how illustration can touch people's heart, how a simple line and color can express what the words sometimes can't. That's what I would love to share for today. How do I go next? So during the pandemic, I was living alone in New York City. The city that used to feel so alive and suddenly become so quiet, almost unreal. I began to draw as a way to heal myself, to make some sense of emotions that were too heavy to put into words. These illustrations were born from that time. Each image carries a subtle tension between the familiar and strange. Between the isolation and hope. They reflect how I felt back then, suspended between words, searching for connection in disconnected time. Even though the pandemic has passed, I believe many of these emotions still resonate today. Like the loneliness, uncertainty, the quiet desire to be understood are feelings we all share today. Illustration become my way to turning those private emotions through something visible, something that other might see and say, I feel that too. So this piece is called Died Silence. As you can see, I draw the flipped goldfish and the telegraph pole and wire cutting through the window. The shimmering water reflections, all these elements feel slightly off, making the audience to question what they are saying and believing behind the haunting silent tension. This piece is called Unstable. If you guys see it closely, you can see there's a chicken, a rooster, is swimming in the desert. He is wearing goggles and also that thing called, like, put on the foot. I don't know what that thing called in English, but as we all know, chicken can swim even though they has swimming goggles and swimming fins, right? Also, it's infeasible to swim in the desert, even though the shape of the sand here looks like an ocean wave. Okay, this one is called Aching Void. It's my depiction of void. The flower, like, if you guys see it closely, the flower is like upside down, are not in the usual growing form. And this one is called The Missing Right Way to Connect. There are two people got lost in the wire-made cage, which represent today people are being trapped in technology boom era. Through color, texture, and symbolism, I try to create a space of empathy, a reminder that even in solitude, we are not alone. The lines we draw can become bridges between inner and outer world, between one heart and another. Okay. And this project is a series of illustrations that focus on showing the human body reaction under the influence of physical environment and subjective consciousness. The physical experience activates the psychological feelings and vice versa. Each drawing represents one specific body part and its reaction under the specific environment. There were a good amount of period time I isolated myself and become almost myopically focused on myself and how my body feels. Because of the mental tension, I start to realize that mind can influence how body feels. The physical experience activates the psychological feelings and vice versa. I learned this called embodied cognition, which is the relationship between physical experience and psychological states. And next, here's is my show. So I pull out a key element of each drawing to a real object under the painting. I want the audience to have an interaction with my work. That's how I designed the exhibition. What else? So next I will share a little bit more about each piece. This one is called eye pressure under monitor screens. It started from a very physical feeling. You know, if you're staring at a screen for a long hour, you would feel the heaviness behind the eyes and the subtle ache that reminds me I'm not just imagining, but my body really experiencing them. We live in an age where our vision is constantly monitored, meditate, and quantified. The eyes is a symbol of perception and awareness. It's become a channel of surveillance. We are both the watcher and the watched. In this image, the eye is no longer an organ of sight. It's swollen or organic tangled, almost sophisticated under the network of digital pixels. The screen doesn't just frame our view, it reshaped our sense of self. I wanted to explore what happened when seeing become being seen. And on the right was my original sketch. Okay. And the next piece explores the embodied awareness through something very small and each. The dogtail grass grows with impossible hallucinatory color, representing a kind of ghost itch, a sensation that shouldn't really exist, but you can't ignore it. Then there's some mosquito bite under the foot. It's both painful and itchy. In the active spot, you can't reach. The erosion spreads upward, becoming an echo of body awareness. I wanted to capture the moment with discomfort turns into consciousness. When the body reminds us that we are alive, not just thinking, but feeling beings. And this piece is about the fear of public speaking, like me right now. It's a terrifying moment when your body betrays you. The tongue becomes dry and heavy. Every microphone feels like a spotlight and judgment. On the stage, the tongue is exposed, wounded, performing under pressure. It's a visual metaphor for vulnerability. Now speaking in front of the others can feel like a public execution, yet almost a moment of truth. And this piece is about addiction to spicy. It's a strange mix of pain and pleasure. If you flip the image upside down, the chili pepper becomes a shape of a lips, as I showed right here. The paper rubbing against the grinder mirror the sting of the spice on the lips, the pain and burning sensation. It hurts, but the mouth keep wanting more. The heat, the thrill, the surrender, it's not just taste, it's a desire. And this piece is about paper cut, the tiny wound that hurts more the moment you noticed it. If you never noticed it, you probably never will feel it. But once you do, the pain grows sharper and almost echoing in your mind, and you can't ignore it. It's quite reminder of how awareness can turn something invisible into something unforgettable. Oh, next. This piece is about pollen allergy, something both invisible and overwhelming. The flower looks soft and romantic, but they also attacked. The beauty and discomfort happened at the same time. I find allergy surreal, how your body reacts something as gentle as flower, turning a tournament into a mess. Here's my assistant. He's my dog, Pong Pong. He's been there with me, supporting me, helping me. So shout out to him. And this piece, as an illustrator, I had a privilege to work with a magazine called Womanly Magazine. It's a publication dedicated to women's health and well-being. Their mission is to make health education more accessible and empathetic through art and storytelling. Together, we create illustrations that carry warmth, not just to inform, but comfort, to remind the readers that knowledge itself can be healing. And next I will share like each piece. So this one was created for an article about a girl who feels trapped inside her own body. She's a plus size woman on the flight and overthinking every move she makes. She keeps wondering if people around her secretly dislike her and even hesitate to take out her favorite sandwich, afraid it might makes her seems worse in others' eyes. So she holds the sandwich for whole flight, and by the time she lands, the sandwich has become like soggy already. But in that small, quiet moment, she finally eats it, and somehow the simple act become her way of forgive herself. And this piece is for an article about an oversized woman who tried to heal her body anxiety through the act of binding. At first, the binding feels like control, a way to reshape herself to fit into what the world expected. But as the story unfolds, it becomes a ritual care, a way of holding herself, not to hide, but to embrace. The tension turns into tenderness, and through the process, she learned that healing isn't about changing the body, but about changing how we see it. And this piece is for an article about menstrual gender and identity. I wanted the image to feel both intimate and universal. A single drop of blood become a small pool of life. To me, it's about love and forgiveness. Love the body, forgiveness its pain. It's also community. It's also about community and humanity. How something so personal connects us all through shared circle of vulnerability and renewal. And these works was illustration I did for a puzzle company. And I find the owner of the puzzle company told me that during the COVID period, a lot of people using puzzle to release their pressure. And working on this project, I use mandala as my theme. And also mandala is a symbol of meditation, and I think it's very fun project to work on. And these are a series of illustration I did for self-healing theme. Like earlier this year, I got pneumonia, and in the hospital, I did a lot of CT scans, and yeah, as you can see on the left side, there's a CT scan element inspired image, and in the middle is about spring. You can see a lot of peach petals, because in the spring, like in my neighborhood, there's a lot of peach trees, and when the wind blows, they all dance like on the floor, circling. Is very magical. And on the right side is about ocean creatures. And these are a series about nature and beauty, how we as a human being to live in the nature and to appreciate other lives. And this one is about nightmare, actually. It's called Satifile. It so like every time I experience it, it feels like something heavy on my chest and can't breathe. It feels like I'm trapped by my thoughts and here. So the hair represents like my thoughts and the struggle. And also I put a big giant water drop on top of her face to create that tension that if it drops on her face, she will definitely cannot breathe. And there's a one without the drop. And so later to like so lately I explored more material. So I would like to share another part of my practice. It's called 颜彩 or mineral pigment painting. As an illustrator, I worked on commercial projects. So digital paintings become a big part of my daily work because clients' feedback and the revisions are part of the process. So this working digitally make me easier to make changes. But over the time, I started to miss the quiet, miss the feeling of creating with my hands. That's when I turned to traditional materials and natural mineral pigment, the rice paper and gold leaf. The process itself are grounding and meditative. Like you have to make your own paint from like powdery pigment and add glue, water, mix it with your hand and paint it. So I think the whole process is very healing itself. For me, it's a process of deep healing. It reminds me that art is not only about expression, it's also about the presence. And the natural glow of the mineral, the rhythm of painting, the practice it requires, they all invite a quiet form of empathy. both with ourselves and with the world around us. And next. So, like, I want to give a little bit introduction of what is yan cai. So, it is a rock color paint, and it's a traditional Chinese technique that use crushed mineral pigment, like precious stones. For example, like I don't know how to pronounce those stones in English, but yeah, and also metal foils to create luminous textured artwork. It's a practice over a history of over like 2000 years old. And this technique is a Chinese traditional intangible art heritage, transform metals into iridescent hues through controlled chemical reactions, not just burning. It's a jewel of a traditional metal craftsmanship. Like you use heat to control the chemical reactions. And here's another technique called leaf. Like you put paste, like layering the pigment to create a depth. And later, like after layering and layering of pigment, we also use a sandpaper to sand it off and wash and continue securing this process. Here's the final piece. I recreate this image and in yan cai technique. And also this piece. And I think that's all. Thank you everyone for having me today. As an illustrator, it's a true honor to be invited to this event to share my journey with you. I hope my work reminds us the behind every image lays a human story, and that design, its heart, it's also a form of care. Thanks again for having me and for believing that image can heal, connect, and inspire.
That was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I was so nervous.
It was
Hope
lovely.
I did. Yeah, hope everyone enjoyed my slides.
I'm sure we did. We're curious if there's any questions from folks.
Okay.
Albert's got his eye on the chat. Please feel free to add any
Yeah,
questions.
Wen Chao, it's really nice. I love it that
Thank you.
you're bringing the traditional Chinese painting techniques to your new illustration style. That's wonderful.
Hmm.
And trying to achieve that in the level that you want. I hope you can do that. And
Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah, I'm
it's
trying to get more connection to galleries
right,
as
right. But
well.
I
So
think
it's a
the
really great honor to see Sarah today.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
But I think it's a probably really, really beautiful to see this texture, the real
Uh-huh.
stuff. It's not digital format.
Hold on. I'll show you
Yeah.
guys.
Right, right,
Like it's right
right. That's a
here.
beautiful, yeah. I like that. I like the
Yeah.
last piece you did. The last piece
Yeah.
you did.
This one, right?
That's a really beautiful.
It's
Yeah, yeah.
amazing.
This is
It's
a
amazing.
big fly.
Right. Right, right. But I think it would be better to see real stuff. I mean, not even this
Yeah, yeah,
screen. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Especially
That's so
like under
nice.
the sunlight,
Right,
it shines. It's
right,
really
right,
shines.
right.
Yeah.
Right. So I think the my question is when you're doing this, do you have like think about the subject matter with the techniques or subject matter with the materials you use? Do you think about that a lot?
Yeah, like I at first I searched a lot of like old paintings or masterpiece, like more traditional, done by traditional way, and you like depict a subject which is more traditional, like flowers and animals. But I want to like bring my own voice to it, trying to create something that I would draw it digitally and more modern, more me.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's how I decide on the
Right.
subject matters.
So I think there's a second question is related to my first question. So, but you're living in New York City and you're from China and you're living in New York City. It's like I see it about yourself, but I don't see how the environment affect on you. It's like for example, how the United States or New York City, influence you in your illustration. You know, so can you explain to me in your work that how is that any like New York City influence in you that you're trying to communicate, or is that the same style as you did in China? Is it something different in New York City that you had that developed in your illustration style?
Yeah, I think I don't have like some if you see my work, you wouldn't see like very obviously this person is living in New York City or something because I never draw the big buildings and people's crowded like typical New York
Hmm.
element. But I
Hmm.
think it's definitely resonate in my work. Like I think New York give me the influences more like mentally, and you definitely can see like I'm trying to express emotions through my work. Let's say that. Yeah. And
Well,
I think living in New York, like to be honest, is very lonely, but the outside is like very busy,
mm-hmm, hmm.
but once I back home, I'm all
Hmm.
alone and very
Right,
isolated.
right,
I
right.
think, yeah, that contrast
Mm-hmm,
and conflict also
hmm.
resonate in my works
Hmm.
too.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Well, there's,
that's how I see
definitely,
it.
I think definitely there's no New York City style, but there's definitely has that, push pin influence, Milton
Mhm.
Gleiser and Seymour Quast, and their influence in New York City. And there's a lot of people, fly to New York City to, show their work, but they still maintain the authenticity from their own culture and, thing. And that's what I think to make New York City wonderful, accepting a lot of different styles and cultures and make it own New York City style. So I think you're doing really really awesome. Bringing your
Thank you.
the Chinese and your culture and your identity and your style is not changing by the New York other people, but you are the style that you're doing it there. So I think it's a
Hmm.
wonderful, and everyone is lonely. I'm lonely. Everyone is lonely. Human beings are lonely. So
Yeah,
don't
human beings
it's
are lonely.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
where
yeah.
that's
So
why
it's
we need this
okay.
community.
Yeah, yeah. We need a
Yeah.
community. Yeah. So come in our community. You're fine. You'll
Yeah, yeah,
join
yeah.
us. Okay. Thank you.
Definitely.
Okay, my
Thank you
question's done.
again, everyone, for
Thank you.
having me
Well,
today.
no, hold on a second. There should be more questions from everyone.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
someone. Okay, I'm
Sure.
done. I'm trying to give other people opportunity to ask you.
All
So
right. All right.
yeah, I'm done with it. I'm going to mouth shut. But I
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No worries.
Yeah, that was amazing. I completely relate to the emotional context and aw. There's your there. He keeps you from being lonely.
He's my, yeah, he's my assistant. He helps a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the pieces that speak to me from the female context and experience are quite amazing.
Mm,
And
yeah.
I really appreciate how that represents not only the human condition as we're talking about in our messages to humanity, but also from a really fundamental experience for women worldwide. The
Hmm.
understanding of how we deal with these processes and your work that you've done for Womanly. It's
Yeah.
phenomenal. So I don't have a
Yeah.
question. I just wanted to say congratulations. It's amazing. And
Thank you.
see if we can't open this up to others. Are there other questions?
George has a question. I think George. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Okay, now I can. So I was muted. Sorry. So, Venia, congratulations for your presentation, and I really appreciate the effort that you are making. And this is very curious. And I was going to pick what was Albert mentioning, because when you were presented as a New York-based illustrator, of course, our expectations were probably directly to a certain New York City vibe, or even Manhattan vibe, more specifically, as a general concept that we all identify very very easily. I had the experience. I
Mhm.
was in New York City, so I'm in Europe. I'm in Portugal, but I was in New York City for a week this year in May, and I could
Mhm.
experience this difference and this unbalanced and condition between what we are used to consume as pop culture consumers and
Mhm.
what the city actually is. Um, I have two comments, and I would like to pop a question from those comments. It's very interesting for the effort that you are making to use traditional techniques in your practice. And this is something that we
Mhm.
observe also a lot in design and graphic design or communication design. For instance, we see a very strong revival of traditional printing techniques such as letterpress, which is something that us as graphic designers can easily identify, or even
Mhm.
production processes that relate more with artisan processes that more than what we are used to using in this, especially now on these last couple of decades where design is actually a very computational activity, and even more now with the use of generative AI and all of those stuff. So it's quite hard to, as and Jürgen was mentioning on the opening, it's quite hard to work with this new generation, because this new generation brings new processes, new ways of approach, and this is always a challenge. So please keep up this good work in reinventing these techniques. I myself, I'm working on this. I'm engaged with a project that I presented a long time ago here on one of the UDA webinars. The project is called Anti-Amnesia. So it's the concept is related to this, using design practices as a way to revigorate lost techniques or practices that are more related with artisanship and craftsmanship, not just using software computer and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
the other comment, and I think this is probably something that you that from there comes my question. Of course, when we think about graphic design or design in New York, of course, we think about a couple of names like the ones that Albert mentioned. Of course, Milton Glaser, the creator of the I Love NY logo, and some of the other names. But New York is also a very diverse city and territory. So there's this, and especially in these areas of illustration and visual
Mhm.
representation, there's this beautiful documentary from Aaron Rose called Beautiful Losers. So this is like a suggestion for everyone to see. So it's from the beginning of the 2000 something, and it was related with this graffiti culture and hip hop culture of the city, which started the movement. And it features at the time artists like Shepard Fairey, which we now heard a lot about, Mike Mills, Mark Gonzalez. So a lot of them working on this countercultural, and then they were adopt as the mainstream. And now we almost don't have counterculture. So this is a very diverse ground. So I my question to you is, what are you mentioned that you share a lot of um, autonomous work, so you work a lot individually, but what type of networks do you think you can look for in a ground like this in New York? So because probably there's also a lot of people doing traditional techniques as well. So what are your thoughts on this and your strategy?
Uh, you mean like how do I communicate with the outside world?
Yeah, how do you find your peers? So the your community, your
Oh, my
so
community. Definitely like
not just in sorry to interrupt, not your community in terms of social community or Chinese based community or something like that, but your creative community, other people that are using these type of approaches to their creative practices,
mm-hmm,
recovering traditional techniques and
mm,
showcasing them as well, and trying to move them to a commercial news magazine like the one you mentioned as well. So making it as a profitable resource for the work they do.
yeah. Like for me, I am involved in the Society of Illustrators, and that's a big part of the community. Like they host events, and people goes share like the work they're doing and making connections. And also like I joined a lot of the competitions, and for example, American Illustrations, they have like they host a big party every year, like maybe in November each year. And during those events, I got chance to meet a lot of peers who works not only for illustration industry but also graphic design, photographers, um, yeah. And also like for me, because right now I'm doing yantai, which is a very traditional media, and it's required the whole process is very, like for me it's very meditating. So I'm also reaching out to like our therapist to see if we can like do a workshop together to bring people more connected and let people sharing stories while they are drawing and like creating a safe space for them to heal. Yeah, that's pretty much all. Yeah.
Thank,
Mhm.
That's a beautiful statement, and now you have
Yay!
us. You're welcome to our community as well. This is wonderful.
Yay! Nice.
We have a question in the chat, and you see
Okay.
Jurgen's also
Where
got one. The
I
question
can't see the chat
I
box.
I will definitely read it to you, and don't even worry
Okay,
about it.
thank
That's what we're
you.
here for.
Thanks.
So my
Okay, great.
question is, what's your next project plan of your works in the future? Any concepts or any vision specifically? So
So, like since this June, I started this project of Yancai. So I will definitely like keep going working on those um paintings, and like I'm planning to have an like solo exhibition hopefully next year, like showcase my work um on Yantai. Yeah.
Brilliant. I think there's a warm reception for that. That direction is unique and wholly you, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for it. And as Albert said, that last piece you shared with us with the fly on it is quite gorgeous. It's just amazing. Yeah, yeah. Uh, I'm going to hand the question over to Jurgen, but I also want to, say, folks, you're more than welcome to add more to the chat, or if you've got a question you'd like to deliver yourself, feel free. Thank you. Jurgen.
Yeah, Sarah, thank you. So Wenjia, thank you for that, for showing your wonderful work.
My
Yeah, it's
pleasure.
amazing, it's excellent, and I wish I could be in that room and look at the wind and the paintings myself, because I know you have to see them in real time. Yeah,
Mhm.
and I'm sure the New York as an environment inspires you very much. Um,
Definitely.
yeah, and it's and
Yeah.
yeah, like it's interesting how it's, how your own culture and your own heritage and your own tradition, when this world meets the world of New York, what happens. So this is a
Mhm.
very intense moment maybe, and I
Mhm.
like in your work that you have a strong sense of storytelling. Yeah, you can see that,
Yeah, I'm a
especially in
storyteller.
the, yeah,
Yeah.
in the womanly magazine. I think this is
Mhm.
important because a lot of designers, they just do beautiful things, but they miss the point of storytelling, of communicating,
Mhm.
actually, of
Yeah.
communicating messages. So thank you so much. It's very good work. And my question is, uh, I I I was impressed by your works where you use the traditional techniques like the mineral
Mhm.
painting and all these Chinese traditional techniques, and try to transform it into a new application maybe. And
Mhm.
do you think, my question is, do you think you could include or these techniques also in your commercial work? Because you just said this is my commercial work and this is something I do
Mhm.
for explorate my personal exploration. So do you think you can
Mhm.
combine this somehow? That's my question.
Um, sure. If I got the chance, I would definitely try to combine them. Like if the client requires me to draw the piece like in Yantai specifically, I would definitely do it. But like nowadays, for because my all like most of my work are for publications, so they requires print, right? So I think the audience would lose a lot of the quality of the medium itself. Um, but I think with today's technology of like photography and the photo retouching, it will definitely bring some of the shimmery details back. Yeah, I think it's worth trying. Yeah, I would say worth trying, but Um, yeah, I'm open to like see if they can be combined. Like, yeah, but yeah, for traditional media, it's definitely like very hard to make changes, to make revisions. So I don't know really, but I'm open to try it.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, you should try it. Con surprise your clients.
Yeah.
No, thank you so much, Wenjia.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Do we have any other questions? Please feel free to unmic yourself if you'd like to ask directly. I'm going to give it a little bit. I can imagine your traditional techniques being brought into something very backlit. Maybe some projection.
Backlit?
Yeah. That sparkle of mica and agate.
Yeah.
And, yeah, amazing. Well, it doesn't look like we have any more questions. Do we have any more questions from the board? If not, I'd like to thank you so much and move into our next portion in which we present the work from the latest Messages to Humanity, which there's a direct link to the work that you're producing. And so, yeah, without further ado, I'm going to thank you so much for that amazing work. And I'd also...
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for the thumbs up, Albert
Yeah.
and Jordan.
Yeah. And so don't go anywhere, folks. We're going to have just so much more work that's going to just blow you away. And so I want to take a moment and kind of free frame our conversation and say thank you to Zhao Yang, Xiao Pan, Jorge, Jorgen, and Albert. Our board members make these things happen. And it takes a team to create this beautiful village. And so I really would like to encourage everyone to join and participate on a regular basis with things that we have planned for the upcoming future. So I'm Sarah Meyer. I'm a professor of visual communications from California. I teach currently at Cal Poly Pomona in the greater Los Angeles area. And I'm also the Vice President of Design Education for UDA. And so I'm happy to share this upcoming work. And in order to put all focus on the work, I'm going to stop my camera and share my screen. So let me start there. And if you could just give me a thumbs up that you can see the screen, it would be greatly appreciated. Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. And turn my camera off and we'll begin. Appreciate it. So as we look at this work, I'd like to take a moment and say, in a gentle way, you can shape the world. To frame our conversation, Gandhi said, this timeless truth reminds us that even the quietest acts of creativity can move hearts and spark change. The fourth Message to Humanity brings together designers from over 9 countries from around the world who use their voice as a voice of hope, unity, and compassion. Through color, form, and typographic messages, these posters unite us to reflect and to believe that design is a gentle force that shakes the world towards something better, moving the world towards compassion, balance, and renewal. Each poster is a reflection of hope, a reminder that beauty and purpose can coexist, and that design has the power to inspire this change and restore harmony and awaken our shared humanity. So as we move through here, I'm going to announce each designer. I apologize for any mispronunciation, and give a little brief introduction to their work and the concept behind it. So first we have Teja Hol. In Finnish, a person who loves another calls them a golden bud, to emphasize the importance and value of that person to them. And as you can see here, we have some wonderful overlapping of colors. I think it gives a profound depth to the work and reiterates that the golden bud typographically over the top, supporting each other and giving almost a bouquet of flowers and thank you. We have Shen Yi. This work reflects the Confucian ideas of love and forgiveness, drawing on Confucian teachings about empathy and benevolence. It reimagines how these ancient values can guide modern life, helping us to build understanding, trust, and harmony. It reminds us that these principles can nourish the soul, resolve conflict, and strengthen society. Inspired by the saying, "The sea embraces all rivers because it is vast," we can see a smooth flowing lines that emerge into the shapes of written characters, evolving into an image of a river verging into the sea. The visual rhythm symbolizes openness and connection and harmony that arises when diverse elements come together. By blending typography with movement, the design conveys a spirit of inclusiveness and unity. And I really especially appreciate how you can start seeing human form and a bit of faces and the understanding of the river. It seems like it's a growth and shared experience. By Shen Zhao Yao. Another beautiful piece by Zhang Zhao Ying. The statement is, "To learn from others and practice goodness is to practice goodness together with others. Therefore, there is no greater virtue for a gentleman than to practice goodness with others." That quote is embedded throughout this whole design. You can see in the face, typographically, a kindness. The simple lines form a friendly face. Somebody that you know when you see them that you're going to embrace in greeting. It's beautiful elegance and complete harmony and symmetry really impresses upon you the kindness in the individual that you're greeting. And here we have Ji Sung Gao. Our quote is, "Letting go of attachments. Forgive others, let go of the past, don't cling to grudges, and release negative emotions." Through this, you have self-love, which is unconditional and selfless, accepting others without expecting anything in return. Tolerance allows you to forgive others, accept impermanence, and be free of resentment. Only through spiritual forgiveness and letting go can one truly achieve spiritual emptiness and thereby enable wiser decisions and actions, says the artist. And throughout this, the grainy texture, the expansiveness from foreground to background really lets go the imagery and allows it to project in a layer to the foreground. Ming Yao Ye chose as her statement, "Love is another name for understanding, and forgiveness is the extension of love." So this poster embodies the context of love and forgiveness. Its quote anchors the design. It reminds us that to convey the theme, we should visualize how understanding builds love and how forgiveness broadens its reach, guiding the visual language to touch hearts. What is incredibly appreciative in this piece is the layering of the typography, both old and a little bit of a grainy texture onto a much more clean cut calligraphic style, along with the mountains and the trees behind. I think it's a nice bridge, as our guest speaker said, between the harmony of internal experiences and what we feel with our surroundings. And oh, the color in this piece by Nao Xiao. To write love In this poster, the ease of just sheltering wind and rain interpret as tolerance through the image of a peace dove fluttering its wings and outlines of forgiveness with the form of two hearts nestling together. I think we can see in the foreground the composition of the character love, and it combines with the roof of a traditional Chinese architecture to reflect where that love is, in the home, sheltered from the wind and the rain. It also transforms the character for tolerance. The change, the middle part, is changing into a pigeon, a bird, embodying peaceful coexistence between people, and the character for forgiveness. It's magnificent, and it clearly exposes us to the love. And again, we can see all of this housed underneath a sheltering roof, protecting it, like we must protect our humanity with each other. The color really also provides us a wonderful sense of warmth, like sitting by a fireplace in your home, snuggled up during the winter. And here we have Queen Yun, and this is multi-layered. So as you look at it, you see these beautiful colors contrasted on a dark background. But let's really get into the rich composition that we have here. There's a theme about the Confucianism and learning. In the realm of propriety, harmony is paramount. Harmony is the merging of hearts and the coexistence of love and forgiveness. At the same time, the doctrine of harmony is the universal principle governing the world. We elevate harmony to a fundamental principle or a universal law. It's the essence of a 1,000-year-old civilization and embodies the willingness to concede 3 feet as well as wisdom by replaying all experiences with kindness. This poster focuses on the core values of that love and forgiveness and conveys the Confucian principle through unity as well. It doesn't only represent the peaceful relationship between individuals, but also symbolizes the balance between one's inner and external world, much like our guest speaker, between what's happening in the home, as she illustrates, and what's happening outside in New York. Quite a beautiful piece, wonderful composition of bright colors with more layered depth in the background with that knockout white type on the black. And here we have Shihan Wang, and the quote is, "Love all beings widely and draw near the virtuous." Quite wonderful. The concept centers on blending traditional Chinese philosophy with the theme of love and tolerance. And we can see that by the background with this beautiful calligraphy kind of wiping into the window that's sitting in the background and giving us a multi-layer of context. The warm hues reiterate this experience of interweaving and being virtuous and connectivity between all. I believe this one sparkles. There seems to be a little bit of that feeling of the gold and leafing. This is done by Wang Dong. With the theme of lovingness and forgiveness, this work conveys the profound humanistic spirit of Chinese culture through visual interpretation of the characters' benevolence and tolerance. Benevolence being equated closely to love, which is also a symbol for care, kindness, and selflessness. And tolerance meaning forgiveness, which is the mind of understanding and acceptance, something that profoundly is needed in this world. I love, much like our guest speaker talking about, this building of the character on top of each other and then starting to integrate in this profound gold leafing, the quiet lines in the background with the sense of the brush stroke and almost individual hairs on each brush stroke in contrast to the foreground, and such beautiful stippling of each little piece of gold in the foreground as well, with the character illustrations mounting the ability to be tolerant and forgiving. And we have Shu Peng Yao. A benevolent person is one who loves others and therefore is loved in return, is the quote. And it's the concept of universal love, which embodies rich layers of meaning when transformed into visual language, as we see here. It calls for a symbol that expresses both the intangible and the expansive. Again, we have this building upon a foundation integrated into both the background and the form, a house in the warm colors of the landscape, with the multi-layer of the texture of the paper in the background and calligraphic forms in the background. It's almost as if we're looking at a map pointing to each corner of the world and asking us to be benevolent with each other. Quite gorgeous. Here we have Zhao Ran. The Ren and Shu is explored in a wholly different way from the prior poster here. The poster features a font combination design of the Chinese seal script, characterized by Ren and Shu, and completed by the image of Confucianism. Make sure that I'm on the right slide here. The origin of benevolence and forgiveness is specific to the manifestation and meaning of Confucianism. To think benevolence and forgiveness, one will cultivate virtue, and to be strict and violent, one will cultivate resentment. Something that we all need to keep in mind to this day. One moment here. Okay. So it looks like we're off by a slide here, and we have Zhao Ran right here, correct? That looks correct. And this one, let me go back here. This one is the benevolence and forgiveness from Confucianism on slide 12. It specifically manifests to think of benevolence and forgiveness as one cultivating virtue. In this case, the Ren and Shu is explored wholly in a different way from the prior poster. And so I'd like to take a moment and see if we can get this software to go back one. So from this poster, and we see a theme throughout these. I'd like you to observe the theme. And so in the foreground, we have Confucianism on this piece. And we can see the characters of Ren and Shu. Again, we've got the layering of the background type to the foreground experience and Confucian in the very foreground. And if we look at these pieces as a whole series, it's quite wonderful to see how each piece interacts with the same basic theme, but uniquely from the artist's own experience. Now moving into another area, we're coming from Jean Raulich Jr. This piece states that we must let everything flow freely without violence, from Comenius in 1657. It's a motto from a lifelong philosophy of the Moravian thinker Johann Amos Comenius, who was born 18 kilometers east of Brno. The contrast value from the sequence prior, in which we were dealing with Confucius statements and a muted color and the experience of overlapping and layering, is uniquely juxtaposed in this series with the bright colors and how the foreground and background flows. And we have a world in the center with the hierarchy of maybe a pink sky and yellow land. Quite gorgeous experience. And again, another sense, thematically, we're seeing a lot of layering and separation of ideas. So here we have Friedrich Kiss. The quote is, "You are solely frame yourself." In my opinion, design is the manifestation and making of visible intelligence, the artist says. Therefore, it is not only aesthetic, but also clever and sometimes absurd. A font is a refined and consistent group of conventional code, such as the alphabet, ABC, and not a group of beautiful letters, but given two fonts, say a serif and a sans serif, as we see here used, an extremely short and powerful text that does not need to be read or scanned. You can simply look at the message and get the innermost understanding of what is happening in this gentleman's brain and how a person is made of many thoughts. Beautiful work from Friedrich Kiss. Tommaso Marcola. The statement is, peace. Peace talks, yet another beautiful piece, negotiation. This is, my apologies, out of order. Give me 1 second. This is Anna Xing. Forgiveness is not easy, but it is strength, but it is the greatest strength. This poster conveys that forgiveness, though difficult, is a powerful act that strengthens relationships and communities. Using bold narrative script, typography, it highlights the compassion and resilience, inspiring viewers to choose understanding over resentment. here we have Tommaso Marcola. Peace talks. Yet another peace negotiation is underway to try and reach an agreement between warring peoples. He states this poster picks an arm covered in letters. The concept is that good intentions aren't enough. Negotiations are essential, but beyond words, actions are needed. In this piece, I feel that we see almost the Tower of Babel, the disintegration of information, the reaching out to connect across multiple folks, across cultures, across humanity. We have Jian Pak. Not the wind that goes to meet, but the wind that meets the leaves. This is a quote, like the wind going to the sea, the lotus. The beauty of life often lives in the spontaneous moment that catches us off guard, she says. These unplanned experiences are fleeting and unique, leaving a lasting impact that shapes our perspectives and memories. And here we can see the flow of the type really giving us a sense of coming out of an ethereal background and the clouds reinforcing the internal experience. We have Gyeon Chen. True freedom is built on respect. This poster emerges the Chinese character of freedom into respect. So we can see the flow of the foreground in the blue and the black background, bringing this expression together to form a true meaning that can only exist when common ground and respect is established. The calligraphic forms honor cultural heritage, while blue strokes symbolize openness and harmony. And here we have Jie Feng Yang. Love lives in yielding. Such a beautiful pair in the background. Rooted in the ancient tale of Kong Rong, yielding the pair celebrates the quiet strength of humanity and humility. Love shines brightest when we step back, offering space for others to grow, and light is hidden in the concessions and the forgiveness we give each other. The harmony of the color with the contrasting foreground typographically reinforces the sense of the pair and gives us a grounded experience in the designer's intention. And here we have Albert Choi. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. It can only light can do that, and hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that, said Martin Luther King. This is a body of work. I like to look at them as a triptych, but we'll page through these individually. The idea that negativity is defined by the absence of something rather than the presence of a destructive force is both profound and practical. It suggests that instead of trying to battle feelings of darkness or hate directly, we should focus on cultivating positivity, love, and light and hope to overwhelm those negative states. And I'm going to page through. You almost can see a change of state in each of these. So we're moving from a very vertical, lateral experience through this, and reinforcing the guest speaker as far as her attempt to think about the internal external. I think this is a great contrast where we're thinking about our past and our future and we're reinforcing first and foremost, in some cases, the statement that's made, in other cases, Martin Luther King and his wisdom to the world. The violin strings in this one are amazing. We have Henyanan. Write your quotation in English. This concept centers on the belief that through forgiveness and love, we begin to heal both ourselves and the world around us. The message is conveyed through a visual metaphor of a man playing a cello from which the words love and forgiveness flow like music. And you really get that from the emphasis as the type distorts the background. And we have Jenny Kowalski. The only way out of the labyrinth of suffering is to forgive. As Jenny states, we need to find a path towards the future. We see here maybe a confusion of our background experience, the thoughts that we have in our head about how we plan for the future. And yet, throughout this pattern, we start to see that we can emerge type and the understanding of forgiveness. And here we have Kelly Sal Chow MacArthur. Peace cannot be achieved through violence. It can only be attained through understanding, said Ralph Waldo Emerson. With multiple wars raging across the globe and displacing and killing mass populations, with each attack, the potential for more countries to get involved increases. And she calls for us to reconsider that war is not the answer, that peace and forgiveness and being able to talk to each other through the peace doves, the wings of the dove, the feathers, will bridge countries and individuals. We have Megan D. The children are always ours, every single one of them, all over the globe. And I am beginning to suspect that whoever is incapable of recognizing this may be incapable of morality, said James Baldwin. While children and many others are starving in Gaza, governments are getting tangled up in complexities and disagreements, although we are starting to see progress as of today. But feeding children is always the right choice, and there's nothing complex about that decision. And so as we start thinking about how we are global citizens and our children are a unified whole, that we have the ability to, in a sense, create a weave. It's almost as we see a quilt coming out of this typography, bridging across countries and disagreements. Here we have Setara Gorishi. This type says, with love, bitterness turns sweet. With love, copper becomes gold. It's a Persian poem from Rumi that expresses the transformative power of love and kindness and how they can inspire profound change. The poster conveys a concept through expressive Persian typography, and we're going to explore this over a few slides here. The same ideas and concepts throughout. So if we see this collage of lettering and geometric shapes here, and then the same again, with love, bitterness turns sweet, and with love, copper becomes gold. In this case, love wins over the powerful force that's in the background and transforms each block into a new color, symbolizing change and growth. And here we say, with love, bitterness turns sweet. With love, copper becomes gold. With love, pain becomes pure. With love, pain becomes a cure. With love, the dead are brought to life. And with love, kings are made into servants. So the faux poem starts to be explored in this piece, creating a distinction between colors and unifying the collage styles into the 5 poster series we're going to see. And once again, you can see that contrast value as we start building on the punctuations and the quotation marks. And so we see a beautiful ability to transform throughout these pieces. So the poem continues with love, thorns turn into flowers. With love, vinegar turns to wine. So we see the flowers starting to embed into the elements and softens and creates beautiful, beautiful joy. And now we're on to Veronica Vaughn. Learn from yesterday, live for today, hope for tomorrow. This quote inspires optimism and urges us to carry lessons from the past and live fully today while hoping for a brighter tomorrow. I think it really is a great emphasis on some of those traditional techniques. We have overprinting of colors to build a third color between the O and the P with the heart in the center. On here we have Catherine Cordona. A true man's moral idea is to do good. Her thought about this phrase is that an authentic man who acts with morality is a man full of good intentions and full of love, who shows good to humanity and who is capable of forgiveness as well as love. The wonderful colors and the building, it's almost as if we're shouting a megaphone to each other to build these bridges. And so with that, I'd like to say thank you to these wonderful folks presented here who have all contributed posters to the slides to create a sense of community and bridge, as we saw with Katharina's last piece. And so I'd like to thank you for your participation today and the great work we've had the pleasure to see. I'd like to thank Wen Zhang for her exemplification of what Zhao Ya said at the very beginning. As we see the combination of human and digital design progress further and further, we need to remind ourselves, as the great Jane Goodall said in her message to designers. I'd like to close with this reminder. Jane Goodall said, designers hold an extraordinary responsibility to use creativity and skill to redesign the world for the survival of future generations by learning from nature, our ultimate co-designer, which balances systems and creates with purpose. And to that end, we encourage you to participate in our next Messages to Humanity and UDA as a whole. We believe that when we work together, individually and collectively, we've earned the right to respect and serve and contribute to society. And with that, I'd like to pass this conversation to Jorge Pera for the closing remarks. Thank you.
May I add something?
Yes, please.
Hi, I forgot to share one last thing. Okay. So I want to share my socials for folks to follow. If you guys are ever interested in my future work, you can follow my Instagram on the left. And for people from China, I also have 小红书. Here's my QR code. So just put this here.
Did you put that into the chat?
Oh, I'm sharing my screen right now. Can you guys see it?
Great. There we go. Thank you.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Thank you. And also on the up right is my website and also email too if you guys want to reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. We will be certain to follow and connect with you. That's amazing, and we hope likewise. Join us.
Yeah, so sometimes like I'm in New York attending art fairs like illustration fairs, book fairs. Yeah, definitely if we met, definitely say hi. I would like to meet you guys in person.
Great. So may I now take the baton, Sarah, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you, and thank you to all the previous speakers, and thank you, Sarah, for this very comprehensive presentation of the participations in the Message to Humanity call. So interesting to observe how the world is a diverse place, but yet the core idea and the core concepts that could put us all in a better place together are shared and are nurtured, I can say like that, by everyone and by design as well. I have the honor to follow up with a closing remark on this webinar, not just on the topics that we discussed here related with the United Designs Biennial, the presentations, but also the poster exhibition, as I mentioned, the Messages to Humanity that was presented by Sarah just before me. I would like to thank you all for the attendance. Thank you all for the participation. I think this is a good common wealth that we are nurturing and working towards a better way to see the world and making this is one of the underlying ideals of design, always to make the world a better place, to make the world a more beautiful place, more sustainable, more inclusive, more ethic, and with our um, small actions, our small participations, with our um, curiosity, we can put always something extra to the table and using this in a good way. I would like to I prepared a couple of reflections on what is the current zeitgeist as we feel the current scenario of the world, namely on this topic that relates the the design practice and the design creativity as a human-based creativity, but today in the age of AI presence and automation, and as I was mentioning before, when I was commenting the presentation by Venia, we are on a period. So the last decades were defined by an intimate convergence of creativity and computation. So the computer is now a tool that is involved in everything and in all the stages of the design process. And on that way, design and the design practice finds itself at a crossroads. So artificial intelligence, AI, in particular the ones that are from generative models or generative forms, challenge not only our tools, our processes, but also the ontology of what it means to design, the core concept, the core definition, when we related it to something that has translation to imagination or the creation of meaning, the creation of visual signs and elements. So I think it's important for us to have this continuous capacity to reflect, to think critically, of course, but be able to constructively discuss about this. I wouldn't say this is the future. I think this is the present. So we have to keep in mind that this is an open map for these times that we are discussing. And this is interesting as well to see that there's this ethical reawakening of what we are observing at the same time. Um, the first idea was I would like it's important for us to reclaim authenticity in this age of simulation. So, and for that, we can use, for instance, traditional techniques. We can go back to our foundations and to a particular heritage that defines what our culture, local culture, was at the same time. So, and it's important on this age of simulation, and there's this media concept of hallucination that is related with the use of AI and deepfake constructions. It's important for us to warn about a clear distinction of what is simulated and when what is dissolving as the reality, because we know that images, models, algorithms are more and more real, they are more and more developed, and of course this is something that is important even for our own work and for our own processes. So design and designers in particular now operates in this ecosystems that can fabricate infinite variations of form and texture. Um, and this abundance, that what we are discussing, risks hollowing the meaning in itself. This was a discussion also some decades ago when, for instance, the computer and computer software was included in the creative praxis as well. So there was these ladders that were related with technology that made a certain moment as a paradigm shift. So we need to re-anchor design as a as human intention action. So it doesn't create just to what makes look real, but it has to feel real in the sense that it should resonate with this idea of context, of experience, and maybe humanity, as we were discussing here today. And another idea I'd like to share with you as a closing remark is this idea of we need to expand this concept of design, material design, as it is used namely not just for the graphic purpose, but also on the digital base when we have like these libraries of elements like typefaces or shapes or elements that we could use. We need to include on these material designs, on this type of resource, a concept that is the ethical approach of the creative one. And this is an invitation to act responsibly before recognizing the solution, for instance. And we have this, we can see this type of question, for instance, in digital design or on the digital platforms, when we see that the receiver of the message is not only the user as we designed for it, but also the what is unseen, so like the data, the subject, even the community or the environment that could be impacted by our creation. So this, as I said, has to be a material of design as tangible as typography, for instance, or the interface. And to design ethically is also an approach to shape these worlds with consciousness and accountability. Um, and also we need to reaffirm the timeless pillars of design thinking. So the design is a discipline, a methodology that was fully declared on the beginning of the 20th century in Europe. We know a lot without, so we can go to design history books and find a lot of actions related with the industrial evolution, also in other parts of the world as well, of course. And the concept of design thinking has been rising in the last 20 or 30 years as something that could be very usable in other areas that not just design. So the way design thinks and acts has been applied to different disciplines such as economics, strategy, even military approaches, very related with this idea of co-creation and participatory processes. So when we think about, the traditional steps of design thinking as proposed by Tim Brown and IDEO, the empathy, prototyping, interaction, and so they are more essential than ever. So even on this area, in the era of technology and AI that can exist on ideation or testing, so we can use models, AI models for brainstorming, for the generation of ideas or starting concepts. It cannot substitute the human process of meaning making. So this is something that, and also that can how do I say it, can help to decipher different cultural backgrounds, such as the ones that, for instance, we were shown today on the illustrations from Venia. We needed to understand what was the traditional processes and techniques to understand and value the final result. She could simulate that with digital technologies, but when it's constructed on this process, it has a different value. So on that sense, we can say that technology can accelerate the how to do it, but only the human part, the design discussion, can define the why on that sense. And this is very prolific. And of course, one thing that is very important, and especially on an audience like the ones we have here. So we have people participating from 3 different continents, from Asia, from Europe, from America. We should must cultivate diversity across disciplines and cultures. So design can actually be a metaphor for this globalized, data-driven world, and it could be used as this concept that can listen to multiple voices. And we saw that this can be the expression of a richness that emerges is from difference rather than homogeneity. We were discussing about, for instance, New York and New York City, and of course we have this ignites automatically a couple of images that are not corresponded to the city as Venia described us to us. So we need to keep open to this diversity. And of course, to counter this and to match this, we as designers must consciously and with a lot of responsibility design for plurality. So integrating diverse, cultural, linguistic, as Sarah was presenting, this is a challenge also to present this in the linguistic diversity and also disciplinary viewpoints. So this true innovation arises not from consensus. We don't need to be homogenic to be all on the same page, but we need to be available for the dialogue. So for the creation tension that arises from contrasting the ways of seeing. So as John Berger mentioned in his Ways of Seeing book. And to conclude, 2 final ideas. So it's very important for us to develop critical literacy and media literacy. It's fundamental for the times that we are living. We know that generative AI systems can easily seduce us, so to produce very beautiful images, to produce very beautiful songs, to produce everything very quick, but they this goes to Jean Baudrillard, the French philosopher, that he reminds us that perfection can be also a form of illusion. So this idea of perfectionists in the way that things are done is also part of this AI hallucination that we are looking for. So, and we need to keep open for the mistake, for the glitch on the processes. For instance, that's where postmodernism from the 90s in the US, for instance, started with authors like the ones from the Reagan magazine, and even on some other cultural manifestations all over the world. So this is important. And to finalize, the a last idea on the challenge that we face, and of course I consider myself a young designer as well, but I know there are younger designers than myself. So a young designer in the sense that I still have a couple of decades on in front of me to work and to be active and to try always to make a difference with my small contributions. But we need to keep in mind that design is a humanist practices in the sense of academia. It's part of the humanities and the social sciences, not the technology, not engineering. So we must ensure that innovation on design serves meaning and not just novelty or innovation in itself, just by itself. So the ultimate question is not how our machines will be intelligent, and or how our design products will be so perfectly AI generated or automated. I think the ultimate question is how wise will our use of this technology will be. We need to. I'm from a time that I use these Decadry letters on paper. I draw a lot on my first posters. Putting them to this Osalid preprints and blueprints. So I know this was part of a different way of working, like 2 or 3 decades ago, and I'm sure that in 2 or 3 decades from now, where we are, we will necessarily have different ways of working. And so technology will always be there, but design, we have to see it as a human-centered future. So where technology amplifies our capacity, our way to work, maybe accelerate it, of course, because it is important, but keeping in mind always this need for empathy, for imagination, for creativity, and for ethical care. So where design becomes once again a bridge between progress and purpose. So we can say even that design can be, as was presented today, a message to humanity. So we need to be very careful with that message that we are conveying. So yeah, this is it. So design the future is what the challenge that we have, not to surrender to the apparent things that we facing, but ensure that narratives and stories, like we were talking here as well, forms, visual systems we create can speak this language, this universal language of humanity that is design. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Beautiful, beautiful work, beautiful presentation. Thank you, Jorge. It was amazing.
So now, yes, I'll give the floor to Chao and to Jürgen for the farewell and closing, please.
Okay, so would you? Is it okay if I'm going ahead? Yeah, thank you again, Jorge, and yeah, it was a wonderful event. The posters were amazing, really, really good. And I think that we have a role to play in our society, maybe work against all these hate and all these division. And I think really like there's always like a contradiction or a struggle. Is graphic design just graphic design, or is design, do we have a more responsibility? I think we have a responsibility to visualize and to share our values, because we are the ones who see maybe like more the whole of it, and we are educated to communicate the invisible and make it visible and make it understandable. So and I think this event is one of the ways to do this. So thank you so much for all the efforts, Sarah, for your presentation, and especially for the explanation of the works, and yeah, and Albert and Xiao and Wenjia and Sarah and Chopin. Thank you so much.